0, 1. Let's get started.
Hello everyone, my name is Cody Reddick. I'm from Santee Fire Department. Today we're going to be talking about the CMC Clutch here. The CMC Clutch is going to be used for our rope rescue operations and building our mechanical advantages. Just talk about the CMC Clutch here itself. It's to be used with 10.5 to 11 millimeter rope, which will work with our 1/2 inch rope that we carry. Some identifying features on here. You have your double lock right here. So it has 2 positions. So the first one will partially open it, and then you have to press it again to open it, and that moves your locking plate here. You have your sheave. This is going to be a ratcheting sheave, which is a little bit different than our MPD that we carry. You have your Beckett or your Beckett eye attachment point here. You have an additional attachment point on the bottom when attaching to your anchor. You have your handle, which will allow you to maneuver through the different modes to release the sheave. So you have, as you see here, the stop, which is going to lock the sheave from spinning on pulling the load out. You have standby mode, which only allows the sheave to move in the counterclockwise position. And then as you rotate the handle here, you'll see it moves into where the sheave will actually now start to release out your load onto the outward position. And then our last is the anti-panic mode here, which once you pull that handle all the way too far or it gets jammed out, it locks out your system, which will need you to remove all the way back to the standby position to allow it to release in that release zone there itself. As far as the clutch goes, it's rated for 40 kilonewtons, which is the same as our other G-rated equipment, that 9,000 pounds. And then next, we'll talk about rigging the CMC clutch into our anchor. All right, now we're going to talk about weaving the rope into the actual clutch itself. So starting out here, as you see, we're going to use that double lock to remove the latch plate here. So releasing the latch plate, you have to have it in standby mode. If you see here, when it's in the stop mode, your sheave is going to be pressed against this plate here. So make sure it's in the standby mode. Once the standby mode's in, you can see the pictures here. It has the load going out the top here and then wrapped around. So again, we're going to take our load, go through the top, wrap it around the sheave, out through the bottom there. Lock it into place. Some things that are different about the clutch than the MPD, you can have it attached to a carabiner, still open the latch plate here, reeve it or unreeve it through the sheave there itself. As you reeve it into the clutch, some checks that you want to make is on the load end, you can pull on the rope, make sure the sheave isn't going to spin. If it were loaded improperly, the rope would feed out through there, and you would notice that it was not feeded properly. All right, again, we're going to go over reeving the clutch here and then going over a lowering system. So again, to release it, it has the double action lock plate there. So open the plate. We're going to follow the picture, load our rope into the system here, making sure, again, the handle's in the standby mode. So your plate is open, making sure it's locked in. Do our test pull on it to make sure it's weaved properly. And then now we are ready to go into a lowering position. So at this point, we have our handle here. Again, we're going to move it from the standby position into the release zone. in between release and anti-panic. So as there's load on the system, we can now move it, and you'll see as it rotates around here, the rope will start to feed. You have this V portion similar to the MPD. You can use that for added friction. The only difference between the CMC clutch and the MPD is you can actually use this release handle in that release zone to control your speed in combination with that positioning of your brake hand here. One of the extra features, like I was talking about, is if you need to do an abrupt stop or you accidentally open the handle too fast, it will lock it in that anti-panic mode here. You'll see the arrows in there. To release it, you just have to move it. You'll hear it kind of ratchet, move it past that ratchet zone, and it will allow you back into the release zone. And then you can slowly open and start feeding rope through the system again. And then once you get the load to the intended area that you are and you're ready to lock it off, you move the release handle all the way over. You'll see on the backside here, it actually has to click into place. You'll hear it and feel it click and make sure the arrow lines up with stop. And then CMC recommends you feed your working end of the rope through the carabiner and then just tie off just like any other system with the overhand knot, and that gives a visual indicator that your system is locked off. Also, if this handle gets bumped out of the stop position, it kind of gives you added protection to keep the rope from moving through the clutch itself as well. Other than that, once you're ready to convert it to a hauling system, you can untie it, add your mechanical advantage, and then convert to a hauling system itself there. All right, now we're going to talk about using this in a hauling system here. As you can see, we have it set up in just a 3-to-1 mechanical advantage in line with our load here. As you can see, for this to work here, your handle has to be in the standby mode. If you have it in the stop mode here, your sheave is going to be pressing against that plate there again. Won't allow you to pull on the rope itself. So once you've released, untied, and put it in the standby mode, you can now pull tension. You'll hear as you're pulling on your load here, you'll hear a ratcheting noise on the clutch itself. And then as I let go, it has a progress capture on there, and nothing needs to be operated on the clutch itself. Now, again, if you were going to stop, walk it off, you can place that release handle here into the stop mode, which is going to be your brake. And then if needed, again, you can weave it through your carabiner and then tie it off with an overhand knot. And then again, earlier I mentioned here on the clutch, it has this Beckett or this Beckett eye connection point. You can use it if you want to add an additional, change it to like a 5-to-1 or add some type of pulley to change your mechanical advantage off of this Beckett there as well. All right, and just to touch again here, if you were going to do a change of direction, it's similar to the MPD. You want to make sure that the clutch isn't in line as you're changing direction. You want to move the clutch over off to where your additional anchor point is, only because as you can see here, if you were to be pulling in that direction, it's going to pull the rope against your friction area here, creating more friction, which could cause damage to your rope or added complexion into your system here. So just make sure, again, same thing as the MPD, you're moving the clutch over to your other anchor point, placing your pulley here in line with the load. Thanks again, guys, for watching our video on the CMC clutch. Get out, train with your crews, use the clutch here. If you have any questions, contact the training division, and they'll get back to you with anything in the future.